All right. We are live. It is Friday. Is this what Friday, May 15th or something like that? And we are doing our usual small biz breakdown thing. It is actually a really beautiful day here in Atlanta. I will have to say right up front, I got some construction going on in my house. So it might get a little loud. I'm going to try to mute as much as possible and let everybody else talk. So I better introduce everybody else while this is going on so that I can cut my volume because it's going to get loud in here. All right, as we usually do, going all the way out west, Leland from Oregon. Hey, Leland.
Hey, Brent. It's wonderful over here. It's very windy. We had like 50 mile an hour, 60 mile an hour winds the last couple of days.
Whoa.
Yeah, a couple of trees fell over. All the good stuff. But it's nice over here, and it sounds like stuff's getting done over where you're at.
That is definitely the case here, as you can hear by the various hammers going on. But we will proceed and move due east. Wow, we haven't made this stop in a couple of weeks. We're stopping in Gary, Indiana, with Mr. Pierre. Hey, Pierre.
Good morning. I hope you hear me okay.
Yeah,
sound great.
Yeah, sorry, been a little bit out. I had a head cold. In fact, actually, ironically, I had a head cold and was worried that I wasn't going to make it last week. I know that we didn't do anything last week, so the timing was wonderful. So, but it's good to see everyone.
We had dueling head codes going on there at that because I was just getting. I think I'm officially allergic to Vegas because it seems like every time I come back from Vegas, I bring a little gift with me, which is a cold of some sort. So I was down for the count too. Yeah, but we're glad to see you back.
Yep,
glad to make our little stop.
Glad to be back. Like I said, it just happened after that conference and for analytics and a whole bit with the wallet stuff too. So it was like. I was like, okay, one more thing. Let's go.
we'll have to circle back around on that to hear a little bit more about the conference. But we have to keep progressing our Easterly way to that magical. Is it a musical? We'll ask her. We know it's a magical and a mystical place. It is Madam Mic Drop herself, Eva Taylor.
Hey, everyone. Good to see you all. Missed you for a couple weeks. But here we are. It is beautiful. It is mystical. It is magical. Musical, I'm not so sure, but
No, it's the home of rock and roll.
We do. Exactly. That is correct. We are the home of rock and roll, and we are ready to rock.
Wow. All right.
And you know what? I think that the sound is appropriate because we've got breakdown happening.
Yeah, we certainly have that. We've got a lot of that going on right now. And usually we go to our nation's capital, but Shashi is not there. He's somewhere traversing the world. And then after we go to our nation's capital, we go to some other kind of capital of, some kind of what is it? What did he call that? His capital of vacation capital? I still question that because it's Jersey, but yeah, we'll
Isn't
just
it like the knitting capital now, according to Shashi?
Oh yeah,
embroidering capital.
Yeah, let's see if Ramon wants to own that one. We'll ask him the next time he's around. But as though we need a little support because we are missing a couple of folks. The bold one, the cold one, the old one is here with us, John Colder Ice Lawson.
Peace out, people. I mean, peace up, whatever.
What is that? Like your arthritis grip? What was that?
That's me around your neck.
Oh, wow.
Anyway.
A little personal here. I didn't expect that one, but okay. Well, it's good to see everybody. I know we were off last week because of some illness, me and Pierre, but we're back. And it's been another very quiet week, right? There's nothing else going on. Yeah, everything's cool. Except there's still a war going on. And Trump went to China. Some stuff happened there.
Did it?
Well,
Oh, okay.
we don't quite know exactly, but I'm sure something happened.
No.
We did get a new Fed chief sworn in. That's kind of interesting. I think I know inflation is kind of heating up again, so it's going to make it hard to bring those interest rates down. Makes for an interesting dilemma for the new Fed chief, since we know he's put in there to do one thing, and doesn't look like that one thing is something to be going on right now. But I digress, and let's throw it open. Who wants to talk about how they're feeling right now this past week?
Oh, I guess I could go. I'm in the process of starting to try, I'm in the process of selling my house. And, I don't know if this is necessarily a nationwide thing, but from what I've heard, it is a little bit, the housing market's a little soft. It's kind of hard to actually sell a house. Great for buyers, kind of terrible for sellers. And part of that is the interest rates. And from what I've seen, there's the issue of two things. You got like the high interest rates, and so you don't want to bring down the rates in order to be able to get the inflation down. But then there's the possibility of what people are calling stagflation. Stuff isn't moving because interest rates are too high, and people aren't willing to actually move on what they want to do, expand their business, take out a loan, take risks. I did read a report. I think it was the NFIB report, Business Optimism. It's doing okay. Like it went up, I think 1 point or something like that. It still isn't the historical average, but it's not bad. People are like, it's we're not in hot water, but we're doing okay. But part of the report said that the amount of loans that are going out are going down. People aren't wanting to expand their business because there's a little bit of uncertainty, but also interest rates. And me trying to sell my house, going back to that, I feel that. And, I've had like 2 showings. So I feel that it still would be nice to come down a little bit at least. I know that there's that idea that, we got to keep the interest rate up in order to be able to keep the inflation down, but it's a double-edged sword. And at least giving a little bit of relief, maybe not those 3% interest rates that Trump wants, but just a little bit of relief to be able to at least get the water flowing would be kind of nice.
Interesting. Who wants to follow that one up? That was a good one. I mean, interesting. I really hope that you're able to sell your house soon. And I hope things get better in that regard. So
we'll see.
Yeah.
I'm not in the biggest hurry to be able to sell. It's not like it's like imperative. I've got to move. We're not moving cross country or something like that. We just want to go cross town to something bigger. But it would be nice to sell and be able to take advantage of some of the other people that are going through the same issue of trying to sell their house. It's like the prices are going down, down, down. And so it's like, I want that house that's now really cheap.
So on the flip side, have you found something you are interested in and it's a good deal?
Oh yeah, there's we have at least 3 on our list, and they're just sitting, and they've sat for at least 6 months,
Wow.
all of them. And so and there's many more that I'm pretty sure if I put in the right offer, I could probably get. So and in an area where there's only like 20,000 people, 3 houses is a good number of options to be able to choose from.
Wow. All right. Who else wants to jump in?
I'll jump in real quickly. This is my concerns from the week. This has been kind of a weird week because I was really out of it for a couple of days. On the Fed chair, a little bit concerned about how this is going to work out because Powell is sort of refusing to come out of the position.
Well, no, he's going to stay on the board.
He's going to stay on the board.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's not going to be the chair anymore.
Yeah, which I think that's important because I think it's the idea of really needing to send a message to Trump about I know it's kind of a weird message because Trump doesn't pay attention to these at all. His administration doesn't. But the whole idea of trying to control aspects of government that you were not really meant to control that directly or that succinctly at the in all honesty, beyond what the limits were supposed to be about. I think that message still needs to be there. I think it's maybe a little savvy of Powell to be on a board, basically, because my understanding is the board is really very, very, very powerful from that area. The other bit, I kind of, this is what makes me think of Brent's house selling is the sort of, I think people now are really trying to figure out how to take care of the things, the big ticket items that are important to them, which means buying or selling a house, buying and selling a car, or even making a job move, despite all the chaos that's going on right now. But this is what humans do. You listen to the news, you listen to a lot of the things going on, which are factual, but then you have to make specific personal decisions as best as you can for the information you can. So that part, I think, is we're going to see probably more of, you're going to see more of Brent's thinking going along with everybody in the summer and trying to kind of say, hey, we need to we need to move forward for what we want and take advantage of the opportunities that we have in front of us.
Wow, if everybody thought like me, that would be scary, actually.
I'm sorry, I mean Leyland. I said Leyland.
Everyone's
I
thinking,
don't think you wanted that,
Jerry.
Asterisk, Brent, your thoughts are always as wonderful as well too.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but let's keep it moving. Let's go to well, not the Heartland, because she hates when I say the Heartland. You know where we're going.
Yeah, I've been looking at all the things. I think the thing that was top of mind for me is I was reflecting a little bit. I don't know, Brent, what actually, some of us here remember the 70s and the gas lines and all that stuff, right? And this is kind of similar to what happened then, only then it was OPEC targeting us and it was like 5%. And I think this is going to be a lot bigger and a lot more wide ranging, right? And that got me to thinking about a way of thinking that as Americans, we're not used to. And that is, however, I'm from the former Yugoslavia and specifically from Serbia. And one of the things I feel like I've been living from my visits in Serbia recently. One of the interesting things about economies like that, which were sort of an authoritarian-based economy, one of the things that the buyer behaviors that you see in those kinds of economies is that people are purchasing things faster. The reason why do they do that? The reason they do that is that inflation and costs are going to be higher, and they know this. It's not going to be lower. It's going to be higher. It's never going to be lower, because a couple things are happening in that economic environment, and that is corruption inside the government, increased inflation that keeps going up in large numbers, high unemployment, and so on and so forth. And I got to thinking, a lot of my writing this week and my marketing tips this week on DIY marketers had to do with the opportunities that small business owners have. And what they need to be doing is structuring offers to get people to pay now, purchase now, because it is not getting cheaper. Okay, I know small businesses have been trying to sort of eat some of those increased costs, but that is not sustainable. So pricing is going to go up. So a really smart move that I've been thinking about is having them create offers that, entice people, motivate people to purchase now. Because you've been kind of holding off on those price increases. And I'm talking about people like salons, landscapers. These are like local small businesses that have been holding off raising prices. They're not going to be able to do that. And I think there's a lot of opportunity there for small businesses because that is the name of the game. When you see the numbers we're seeing now, what you've absolutely got to be doing is building your pipeline and converting people like now. Because it ain't going to get better anytime soon.
I guess the kind of question I would have around that is, do people have money, or are they going to have to continue using credit? Because that's what they've been doing the last several years, actually.
Well, people are making that shift, right? They're doing that like, what would you call it? Oh, I'm sorry. Do you know what happened to me this week? I've been a broken record about this because I cannot even believe it. I paid $8.50 for a half gallon of milk. I got the type of milk I wanted, but I did not get I got the brand of milk I wanted, but I did not get the milk I wanted. And I paid $8.50 for the privilege. Wasn't even super fancy, was not a fancy store. I live outside of Cleveland, Ohio. I just about had a conniption fit. And
but you still bought it.
I still bought it because I love this brand Horizon. It lasts forever. Whatever. I just like it. I like the taste. I like the brand. And so I bought it, right? But what I did is I also, instead of buying, let's say, Muller's pasta, because I was going to make mac and cheese, I bought the store brand, right? So milk is a critical ingredient in mac and cheese, certain things, right? So I'm going to keep that, but I can get a cheaper pasta. So people are making those kinds of trade-offs, seeing where they can save to come out even.
So given that, and then we'll go to the bold one, it's got to be very difficult to try to craft an offer for folks who are cutting back on their mac and cheese and things like that. And gas is still crazy. I don't think it's a matter of them not wanting to spend. I think they're afraid to spend at this point.
As they I'm sorry.
I'm
traumatized. I have lived through some stuff that y'all have not lived through for several generations. So I've been there, done that. And all of these things are scary to me. And so I am going into Eastern European mode. I'll be making bread and eating beans and rice soon, just because, not because I have to, but because I think it's the smart thing to do.
All right. I saw when I said what I said, I saw the bold one just shake his head in the negative. So please,
we like that.
I don't know.
You know,
but I mean, the U.S. retail sales for April just came out, and consumers are spending. I mean, it's up 0.5% from the month before. You know,
does that take into consideration the inflation? Like, are they spending?
I mean, ultimately, it will.
Yeah. No, I'm just staring. They went up. Is that because the prices went up more than they consumed more or bought more, or how does that work?
Oh, which one is it?
I mean, it actually breaks it out by things, but retail is up. You know, so
I'm guessing that means credit debt is up because
they're always going up.
They're probably buying a lot of this stuff. That probably buying whatever they're buying is usually going to be on credit at this point. So when maybe the thought is, when does their credit limit? When do they reach that? And that's what's going to stop them from spending.
Will it?
If they can't get any more credit and they don't got any money, I don't know what you do from that, but sell blood.
I just don't see Americans right now running out of money, you know, and I do get it. You know, gas prices are high, you know, and but it has not stopped consumers from spending on the things they want to spend on right now. And this idea of, you know, Americans like holding their pocketbooks and purses really tight right now is not happening. Not happening. I'm not seeing it. Now
I
of
don't.
course. Go ahead.
I'll just say I think it's there for a certain rather large percentage of folks who don't have the money and their credit is starting to get stretched. I think this credit thing is a big deal. I think a lot of people have been buying stuff. Originally, they were buying stuff that they want. Now I think you're starting to see, like even is saying, they're using credit cards to buy stuff that they typically would just pay for, like groceries and stuff. But now they're having to put some of that stuff on credit cards, and that gets included in that total, I guess. But at some point, I mean, when gas is as high as it is, it has to be eating into the budget for the the nice to have things or want to have things.
Oh,
Yeah,
you know
but
what?
I don't. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, John. I don't know who knows this number, right? Let's not forget, for example, like who does not buy their groceries on credit, right? Like right? I give the credit, but I think the difference is the number that they're like, that's like the wrong thing. We all buy stuff on credit, all the things. I bought that $8.50 milk on credit, right? But the difference is we still pay ours off every month. Like I don't run a balance. And the question is, how many people are running a balance? I'd love to know that. What is that number?
Yeah, but see, I think we're looking at the wrong people. That's the problem. I don't think the people that are just barely making it and now having to put, groceries on credit are the ones that necessarily are moving the numbers on retail spend.
I think it's going back to that whole K-shaped economy thing. It seems like the people at the top are doing more spending than they were before because they're probably getting some deals because other people can't buy that stuff anymore. Whereas the people at the other end of that, I mean, they're struggling. They're making these decisions we're talking about. Do I have to use my credit card for gas or for food?
I mean, we're not seeing these stories. If that were the case,
I think we are.
CNN would be full of this to make their point, and they're not.
I think they still
happening yet.
They still look at the overall numbers, and they're not digging in and see like this K-shaped thing is really, I think, a big deal.
I mean, I'm not saying it ain't. I'm just saying this narrative is just not out there. I mean,
I think I am seeing things and hearing things that are showing this is definitely the way we're going. I mean, the haves and have-nots. The haves are getting like this, but they're spending like this. The have-nots are getting like this, and they're spending like this. I don't know. It feels like, and what they're spending.
But that's what I'm saying, man. The have-nots are called the have-nots for a reason.
But that they're growing in number because they can't afford the stuff that they
are
were
they growing in number. Or are they growing? The K thing is that the distance between the haves and the have-nots are growing. I don't know if the haves are moving to the have-nots. I don't know. But I think all I'm saying is the numbers don't show this. That's all I'm saying, right?
I think the top line numbers may not be showing it, but if you dig in, then you start to see, okay, these guys are spending more than they were before. So that's kind of making up for the folks who aren't spending. And if you look at the big overall picture, you might say, oh, we're about the same as we always have. It doesn't feel like that.
I will say I know quite a few people that are, on that bottom edge of that K. And I will say they will find a way to spend. They will find a way to be able to maintain whatever they're doing. And usually they don't have the best financial decisions that, that's like, oh, I'm strapped for cash. I'm still going to go get my nails done. I'm strapped for cash. I'm going to go get those fake eyelashes. I've seen
those are the things when those start showing. You're right. That's when it's like, okay, those are the canaries in the coal mine issues.
But they will always find, even when they are at their brokest, and you're like, why are you going out and getting your nails done? You were just complaining that you got no money done, no money. But they still find some way. They'll either work another government assistance
sales
program,
of press-ons have increased. Yeah. I can tell you that sales of press-ons and DIY. No, I kid you not.
Oh yeah.
Now I am on a nail break right now, for for a variety of reasons. So I have not been to my regular appointment, but the last time I was there, it was empty. And I said, "Hey, isn't it prom season?" He's like, "Yeah, well, it is down." And my feed is filled with discount press-ons and
Damn.
all of those things.
My man Lee is back in town. Lee press on. I haven't heard about that in a long time.
I'm telling you, I've not heard about that in forever, but like all these different like DIY, cheaper, supposedly better for you. This is what I'm talking about, substitutions. But to John's point, which because I've been noodling on since we were just talking, I looked it up. Defaults on credit card payments are flat. Nothing is happening there yet. Right. So people are paying that because that's what I'm saying. I'm like, we all use plastic to pay. It's not even a thing. You get points, you get whatever.
Yeah, but like you were saying, you pay yours off every month. I'm guessing what we're going to be seeing is a higher percentage of people that use credit are only paying the minimums.
I mean, I love the nail thing, and I could see that actually being, somewhat of an indicator, but I need to see some nail salons closing because there's one on every corner. The only thing that I see more of are churches. So, I mean, there's like 3 nail salons within almost walking distance.
But aren't those like kind of like personal business, kind of like people who are really more hustling as opposed to it's a full-blown business that they've been kind of cultivating?
Yeah.
Bro, here's the deal.
Yeah, right.
So here's the deal, right? The other day I go to get my nails done, right? Got to get a pedi because summer's coming,
Of course.
So I get and I'm the guy that's got to be there early because I'm not waiting for the girls to come in and I'm not sitting in the waiting area. So I get there and I'm like, I think they're open because it's 11 a.m., and I'm like, I think they're open. The lights are on, but nobody's inside. So I leave my car. It's like 11:15. So I'm sitting in the car, just kind of piddling around and getting ready to leave. And a brand new, what are those? Corvette pulls up in the parking lot across from me. And he's like 5 spaces away from the door. And here comes the guy to open the damn nail salon. Don't get it twisted. They making a lot of cash in them nail salons. That's why they're popping up everywhere.
And don't forget the supporting businesses they have. So like in my nail salon, I noticed, my mom went to one place, I went to a different place. Suddenly, they all got brand new computerized point of sale.
Oh yeah, they do, don't they? They
But and do you know who is doing that? So I asked the guy about that. Now they have their communities, right? Like mine is of course owned by like a Vietnamese couple, and they pass these things on, right, to their friends, and they do these different things, right? But I noticed they all got the same point of sale, and I'm like, what's going on there? And they're like, somebody in our community is in the point of sale business. So now he's hitting up every single nail salon and selling them a brand new point of sale. And I'm willing to bet, John, it's probably the same one you got. Because that they are recommending, like they're probably tied into some kind of referral networky thing happening. So there's a lot of supporting businesses in there too. But I love what you said, which is I think everyone needs, and that's what I do since I'm lately not straying far from like a 10-mile radius, and I'm watching these little businesses and what's happening, right? Like which one, like who's open, who's closed, who's opening up a new location, and what's happening there. But I will tell you, here in Medina, in the heartland, if that's what you want to call it, which I think of as Indiana because of John Cougar Mellencamp, but okay.
Yep.
Right. But what I think is interesting is that even in 2008, as like every other house was for sale and people were losing their jobs and all these different things, my husband and I'd be driving through town. Every single restaurant parking lot was full. Every single one of them. You know, stores, you'd think it was Christmas. And I'm like, I don't want to say the world is crumbling, right? Because the stock market crashed and everything's for sale. And I hear people losing their jobs, people moving, and all kinds of disruption. And yet life continues on. And life will continue on. We got through 73. We got through 2008. We're going to get through this too. It won't be pretty. It won't be fun.
I'll just add this. I think that you guys are making some great points, but I also think that these sound like the things that the last things people are going to give up are these comfort things, getting nails done and hair did. I'm guessing that would be the absolute last thing they give up. They might be giving up stuff right now to keep doing those things. I think that's what's going on. And
I know, but you just think that.
Well, I'm hearing stuff, man. I mean,
sales of durable. The durable report came in last week, which we weren't on, and it's down. Right. Remember, some of these will cycle. You're going to see it months and months later.
Yeah.
Like some of these oil and gas experts are saying that we are at the beginning of this thing. We will not feel the impact of oil disruption until like August, September, because ships are still coming in.
And I also think if you would ask some of these people who are getting their nails did, are there things that you had to give up to make sure you keep doing your nails? I'm guessing they're going to be like, oh yeah, oh hell yeah, you know, and they'll be able to name a whole bunch of things.
Yeah. I will give up a bunch of stuff for hair and nails. Those will be the last two to go. I freaking shifted and understand people. I'm not like, where's Ramon, right? I just want to be clear. I am not living in fear. I'm not. I run a brand called DIY Marketers, right? I don't live in fear, but I live in a place of high value. And right now, to me personally, as a consumer, I'm not getting what I'm paying. Where I perceive the greatest value. And what I perceive as value is not the same as what Ramon does or John does or whatever, right? We're all different.
I think part of this too is I think people may be giving small things up. I think to do that, you have to be a little savvy about what you're spending on. Like, I'll give you an example. When gasoline prices started going up, not that my driving stopped entirely, but I did start to think a little bit about, do I really need to fill up the entire tank and have like $30 tied up in gas that I'm not going to use immediately? Or I really have to think about, maybe I can put a few gallons in, and then knowing that I'll probably be working from the laptop since most of my clients are online. I think I think this ties to John's point about the retail. I think people are spending. I think right now there's a little bit of calculus that's going on. I think people are starting to get a little more savvy about, if I'm going to spend on hair, or if I'm going to spend on nails or anything they want to do, the thing they start to think about is, what am I getting value from from something right now? What things I'm not getting any value from that maybe I could curtail a little bit, and it's not a big deal. I think Ivana's right in that, the oil, the real oil hit coming in August and September will be a little bit telling, because it's coming at a time before the holidays when people really want to spend or what have you, when start planning out their budgets. It will start impacting really significant things where they do rely on petroleum at some level to be produced. And so those things will go up or down or sideways, whatever the case may be, mostly even up, frankly. And it will probably force more thinking a little bit on people's part. I think now it's more of I am thinking about it, But I think it's more leaning to what John had said. I'm going to be brave enough to just go ahead and spend, which is why we see the spend. I think that's partly why the retail number is up, albeit slightly. It's still up. It just says that people are just trying to make the easy, smart changes first before making radical changes in our budget, which I think won't happen until we see that oil shift later on.
Yeah, agreed. Look, I don't think we are going to, or the economy's going to be able to suffer the increase, because we've had increase after increase after increase, and the consumer has been sucking this up, right? I don't know how long that's going to continue to last. But I mean, as of today, we're still not seeing the pullback.
Well, I think another part of that too, and this is maybe a little more personalized for me, is even with all this stuff that's going on right now, my investments just hit an all-time high yesterday. If that weren't the case, if it was tanking like I thought it would be with higher inflation coming, and you keep hearing about these layoffs and AI layoffs, things just aren't acting the way they used to with the economy. There would be a pretty significant couple of things that always go along with each other. We're not seeing that now. It's weird. And because some things are down and other things are up, I think that gives maybe a little sense of false security because they're not all going in the same direction. But I think if people's 401ks, the folks who have them, if they weren't as in good a shape as they are currently, with all the other stuff that's going on, there would be a bit more of a panic going on. Yeah. But we do have this one leg of our financial kind of life that seems to be, it seems to be holding up rather well. I mean, I would have never thought I would have my thing would be at its all-time high in this particular economic environment, but it is, and that's
but
different.
That is not liquid money. Can we let's be real about something, right? What's in the stock market is run on belief. It is not real money. It's that we all believe.
Well, it's sitting in our account, and we think it is. We think it's concrete.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. That is not real money in the same way that Bezos and Musk do not have real money. They are not liquid.
No,
they're not liquid, right? And so what's real money is when you pay that credit card bill. That is real money coming out of your bank account, going into somebody else's bank account, right?
But it's the psychology. You believe, you look at your account and you see that account looks pretty good.
It looks good. I've seen it go boom.
Of course, it's right here, right now, and that we're dealing in the here and now. And as long as it's looking good right now, people feel a little bit more secure. You're right. It could go down. This person in the White House could say something that will completely jack us all up. And it could be like at 1,000 up, and he'll say something, and we could be 2,000 down by the end of the day.
And why we listen to any of that is beyond me. But hey, and that is the other thing. I'm thinking that all the things that we're talking about, these are like very, very long cycles. And as Americans, culturally and business-wise, we are all trained to think in terms of weeks and months and quarters. And maybe in this first 12 months, next 12 months, rolling 12 months, right? All these things that are happening are, we have a lot of generations. The quote unquote greatest generation who lived through the Depression except for Pierre's mom, is gone. Okay. Oh, Peter, have you talked to your mom about the economy? What does she have to say? Because she's like 90 something.
Yeah, she's 96. So she is. Yeah. We haven't really talked a whole lot about it.
She's smart. This woman is smart.
Yeah, but we've had a lot of general discussions on, I think, life and some of the life choices that come from it from a certain economy. Basically, I think the thing that astounds her the most, if I could even summarize it, is, not that entrepreneurship is a bad thing, but the level in which people rely on this now as more of less of maybe a choice among choices and more of a, like, this is how you almost build your career around. Just the tone of it, I think that part, has surprised her over the year. Is when she makes a comparison, because she sees it as, it's, she still sees entrepreneurship in the sense of the butcher that opens the shop around the corner. And a lot of it now is not really about that. The platforms and the amount of marketing and business acumen that you can apply is much more sophisticated than it used to be, and it opens a lot of doors. But it also, but it also makes it more this career thing at the same level as being an engineer, being a doctor, being a policeman. And I think that's the part that astounds her quite a bit, basically.
By the way, I want to do a quick shout out to I don't know if I'm saying the name right, Tino Tinda. I'm not even going to try your last name. I don't want to butcher it. But we appreciate you being here, and we appreciate the sentiment there. Thank you very much. We like that.
I think if the greatest generation people were alive still, they'd be like, oh my God, right? And I think a lot of people that are living through this economy, we are trained to be, all I'm saying is we're trained to be short-term thinkers, and we're trained to react to something that's happening today. And we are not trained to think about what's going to happen 3, 6, 9, 12, 5 years from now. Right. So a lot of the things that are, and I think that's why, because I was raised in a specific culture that went through a specific raid. Like, I didn't get here until 71. Then we got to experience that, which was fun. But, I don't want you guys to think that I'm living in fear. And at the same time, through generational experiences, stories, seeing history, I tend to have a much, much longer frame of cause and effect. And so I think that the reason all this spending is happening and that the reason all this stuff is happening is God loved the United States. Our population hasn't, quote unquote, like really, really struggled like we hear about in the Great Depression. We haven't had that. We've had the Great Recession. We've had tough times. We've had all kinds of stuff. And I'm kind of curious as to how are we going to get through things? I think we will get through things. I want to be as optimistic as John. Part of me there is that part, but there is that other part.
I'm not optimistic.
I don't know. You're not?
I'm not optimistic. I'm just saying, currently, here's where we're at.
Because like when we were saying, remember how I was like flipping out, which I do consistently on the NFIB. It has taken almost a year for the NFIB to drop where I thought it was last year. Like where I thought it should be. Like where it's at now is where I thought it should be like last year. And now I'm thinking, it's going to take them a whole other year to like think about what's going to happen here. I keep saying, who's going to buy your stuff? Who is going to buy your stuff? You're out of credit. You don't have a job. Oh, but although, guys, I'm going to change the subject briefly. Did you see the thing I put in the chat about what NVIDIA was doing, partnering with Pulte Homes to put those data centers in people's houses? So where you would pay, what it is, I'm reporting, you would pay $150 a month. You would have like a mini data center in your house, and so like your Wi-Fi, your electricity, like your utilities would be covered, right? So you pay the $150 or whatever. And I'm like, well, they should be paying you a heck of a lot more than that. You should get free. They should pay you $150 or $800 a month or something for that
They'll never do that, but you know.
That'll never happen. But that, I think that's like super creative thinking, right?
Well,
Nobody wants data centers. What do you guys think about that? That like stood out to
I
me.
have to understand to what the biggest problem with the data centers right now has always been the size, noise, and the impact on utility. I'd have to. I haven't seen the link, so I'll go through it when go back through it after we get done. But I would think the and this is me being naive. My question would be, what am I really getting out of that addresses some of the pain points that people are raising? I mean, is it like a smaller data center that's in the back of the house or something like that they access? Is there a data privacy issue that gets created by having that there? Those are the first thoughts I have to it. I'm not trying to be negative on it, but it's just, it seems like it's an interesting partnership. And Pulte is not really an inexpensive home. It really is supposed to be a premium home builder. So it's sort of an interesting dynamic.
I think the model is interesting. I think this thinking, it's a specific kind of thinking, right? These companies want data centers. Communities don't want data centers, right? But people are struggling for money and cash and looking at ways to make money, subsidize, whatever. And they took these little points and they created an offer.
Yeah.
Right? They created an offer, and I'll be watching it to see where this goes, but I don't understand about data centers. So I'm curious from you tech people.
No, I think somebody just said that communities don't want data centers.
I just said that my understanding.
Oh yeah, there's a huge.
Yeah, I consume water and drive, and there's studies now are showing that your utilities will go up with them in place. So.
Well, I think they don't want data centers as being proposed to them currently, which is basically these companies who are basically saying, this is what we want. We have to give them a little, taste of something, but we're going to be the ones benefiting from it big. So they don't want that kind of data center relationship where it's being completely driven by the big pockets and the little pockets don't get any real advantage. I think smarter companies, and maybe this is NVIDIA's way of looking at this, is let's make sure we show them they are getting some kind of value. It's not just because they know we're going to get value, because we wouldn't propose this if we weren't going to get what we want. I think that's the challenge that a lot of these communities are saying, look, we might want data centers, but we don't want the deal that we're getting given, because we don't have any say in the deal that was just being forced down our throat. I think there's some opportunities there for data centers and going to communities if the deal is a lot more evenly distilled versus, they're going to give us pennies on the dollars to use our resources, and we end up in the end not even getting more of a bill and less of a actual anything benefits from it. I think there's something that could be there, but they're not structured. They're not coming to the communities the right way. We'll see. Let me say this real quickly. Just say hello to Carter. Yeah, it's being streamed and recorded, Carter. Thanks for joining us. You can check out all of our stuff over at our LinkedIn page too, by the way. Go ahead, Leland.
Well, I was going to say, as person who's in a data center community, it takes a while. When they came in, there wasn't this big fear, there wasn't this big panic. It was just like, oh, Amazon wants to come in and build data centers. Yeah, sure, come on in. And it took decades to get to the point to where all of a sudden the towns in the area have overflowing amounts of millions of dollars, increasing the amount of tax revenue coming in tenfold. You don't think that far down the line, but we've gotten to that point where now there are other issues like politicians being greedy and stabbing each other in the back in order to be able to get that money. But I guess it's a good problem to have. But it's that immediate thing. It's like, oh, it's going to be bad for the water supply, and they're not thinking, well, yeah, but it's also going to bring in thousands of construction jobs. Oh, it's going to increase the electric bill, and they're going to get tax-free property tax. Yeah, but tax revenue comes in other ways too. And you know, I've seen the benefit from it, and it's really kind of revitalized the area that I'm at. So I got that unique kind of position for it. I like the idea, and I look at communities who are like, oh no, we're snubbing our nose. It was in Western Oregon. They've stopped one in and around, I think it's Clackamas, and it's just like, why? Let it come in. Let it actually benefit your. You know, there's always going to be trade-offs with everything. There's going to be trade-offs, but if it can give you a net benefit in the end, go for it.
Yeah, I think I think the concerns that are coming up now is that some of that benefit is being diminished in some ways. Like, let me give you an example. In Virginia, I think it's Weston. I can't think of the name of the suburb. There's a suburb where they already have like several data centers, and that worked out well for them. It's just outside a suburb of DC. There's one documentary, I wouldn't call it documentary, but it's like a news segment where some of the people are a little bit concerned about the noise that the size of the data centers have started to become. But they also, but to Brent's point, I mean to Layman's point, it's also, they sort of adopted this because for years they've been a tech center. Swing that over to California. There's actually two towns that are sort of in a fight because one has they've had a development that has been approved, but the wording in the documentation is allowing for a data center. That city is next to another town, or that small town is next to another town where town B definitely doesn't want a data center. And the only place where this development is being built out is literally sort of a butt right next to that town and next to some of the neighborhoods. I think what's happening now is that I think people really are concerned about the size of the data centers, the water consumption, and what they end up with is this large center just making some sort of level of noise, which doesn't make a lot of sense. Memphis, they're fighting about that big data center for Musk and company, basically, because it's literally it's pretty much in the middle of a black neighborhood. And there's a lot of black neighborhoods that history has always been, there's been development, but we're not looking at the neighborhood benefit overall. And I think right now there's a tug of war really about that. Because I think that the runway between development and what you're actually getting, what people are seeing, I think to what Lena talked about, maybe if some years ago you've had maybe this arc of time to think about it and develop, I think now that arc is much shorter, and people are pushing back on it to a point where there needs to be some level of some alternatives that need to be thought about in terms of what those data centers are supposed to be, how they can be constructed, and what they can be. So that way there is some real benefit for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, what I think is the more interesting point, right? Like in the beginning of this conversation, we were talking about credit card debt and consumer spending and people not having money, and the fact that, if not already, the inflation rate is outpacing the increase in wages, right? And so, again, I keep saying, who's going to buy your stuff? Who's going to buy your stuff? And how are people going to make money, blah, 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 and benefit from AI? And then I saw this story about NVIDIA coming up with this really interesting solution. We don't like it, to Brent's point. You know why? Because we live under that right now, right? We live under that because our electric bill, right? Our electricity companies are privately held. But we, through our monthly payments, pay for all their infrastructure. It's not a government utility. Mm-hmm. These are all privately held companies who get all the profits, and we pay for all their costs, basically, because they add like about half of your stuff as fees of some sort. So I think I'd love to see this offer be negotiated and created. I'd like to see some more creative thinking around that. And this was the first bit of evidence that I saw about some creative thinking where people could volunteer to host a data center. Like if that's what you want, right? You can, if you pay people, this is a way to make money. You could lease, go ahead.
There are some elements about that I do kind of like. I mean, yeah, I know that it's you pay $150 a month, you have this thing on your property, but that gives you a solid bill every month. I know that it's not free, but at least it's not, well, your bill could be, like my internet and power together is somewhere in the fields of getting close to $400 a month. Sometimes it's less, sometimes it's more. But it would be kind of nice to just know that I have a solid $150. It's not going to go up. It's not going to go down. I don't have to, budget, that's in my budget, and I don't have to worry about spikes, especially if, power does increase or something like that. I would be a little worried about, like, okay, how good's my internet going to be if I have a data center in it and it's going to be used for uploads and downloads? Am I all of a sudden, it's like I got a gig and then it's using 90% of it? Am I going to get down to basically DSL? That would be the kind of worry I would have. But that's me.
I still think that there are a lot of details to be worked out. I'm very anti us paying them. If you're going to have to be on my property and you're going to want to have access to my property 24/7, and who knows what's going to happen, right? I should have free utilities, free Wi-Fi, free everything, and you pay me like at least in today's dollars, at least $500 to $800 a month. This is like an Uber-y type thing, an Airbnb type thing. You are leasing my land and my property, and you're gaining access. And I think it's a wonderful, wonderful way to provide people with an income who may not otherwise have that income.
Yeah.
Interesting. Oh, good debate. Good conversation. I like this. John, any last thoughts? Because this is, you're Mr. AI, and this is all driven because of AI.
I just don't have enough information to really make an informed decision on this, honestly. I don't know how much noise it's going to make. I don't know. I mean, as far as I know, power is power. And just because it's distributed doesn't mean it takes up less water, less noise in the neighborhood. It's just distributed. So I really don't know enough about it to kind of make a informed decision. Sounds great. The business model we've seen before with, electric panels on the house. If you drive around, do you see a lot of electric panels on houses? No. Consumers are weird. Sounds good, though.
What's that sound I hear? That's not even from my house. I hear like that. And am I the only one hearing that something in the background? It sounds like
I thought it was you.
No, that's not my house.
Okay, mute you. Let me see if I hear it.
Did you hear just that? It was just now.
Yeah, wasn't that you?
No, that wasn't me. That's
mute
not
yourself.
Oh, okay. Let me do that.
It's coming from you.
It's coming from you.
How is he not hearing? It's coming from inside the house.
It's inside the house.
You're muted still.
I'm muted, and I heard it through my headphones, not in my house.
Muted,
because it's coming through your
vibration.
You got yourself a ghost going.
Perfect title for a horror movie. Muted.
I know there's stuff that's going on back here. That's not the sound. It
sounds like breathing.
That was a bang right there.
It sounds like breathing. Yeah, we hear it.
That's not coming from me.
Yeah.
When you muted, it was gone.
That's how it controls the mic.
No, it's still there.
Are you hearing it? I'm not hearing it.
Okay. Let me try. I'm gonna mute me now, and you see if it's me.
I'm not. It cannot. It's silent here where I am.
Evil has controlled the mic.
I'm not hearing anything.
Hold up.
Oh, this is good.
It might be gone. I don't know.
I'm not hearing
Come back
it.
on, John. Come back on, John.
From the producers of
Okay.
the link,
All right. Now, Leland, you go mute. Evena.
Yep. No more sound. It wasn't me.
Evena. Leland,
It-
unmute.
It's Evena.
Yeah, I think it was Evena.
There is
Maybe.
nothing happening here. It is complete silence.
We're hearing it from. It was from you.
I don't know what it could be. I'm sitting away from the computer. There is no sound here. It is completely silent.
I feel
Like Rick and the
vindicated.
young ones.
I am vindicated.
I'm telling you,
Thank you very much. Thank you.
that is not me.
Turned into a Ghost Hunters episode at the end.
Yeah. For the producers of the ring.
Yeah. All right. Well, it is that time. I was actually gonna ask you guys a question about everybody here uses Claude, right?
Yep.
So one of the serious tech pioneers from going all the way back to like the 80s. His name is Adam Bosworth.
Mm-hmm.
He's worked for every big tech company on every big development they had at the time. And I had a great opportunity to talk with him when he was at Salesforce. But just a couple of days ago, he made this post on LinkedIn that says, until 4 weeks ago, Claude Code was a marvel. It was like having a team of decent engineers. You had to direct and coach them, and then it built the right code. Starting about 4 weeks ago, it has been like the worst employee ever. It is constantly telling me work is done that turns out to be only incompletely done and lying about it. It is extraordinarily slipshod and left to its own devices, writes code that is the antithesis of good design principles. Am I the only one experiencing this? And if not, what are you doing to deal with it?
I'll be honest.
Have you guys noticed anything?
The only thing I noticed on Claude, it was something a little different. There's a discussion about taking it away from the pro level, which is a $20 a month version, and just keeping it with the next level up, the max, I think, if I remember. And correct me, John, if I'm off base on the name. But that has not been confirmed yet. They're experimenting with it, but not necessarily have made a final decision, because I can open Claude Code in my laptop and I can run it just fine. As far as the comment, I'll say this a little bit. I tend to stay away from those a lot, because a lot of times it becomes a question of, what did you use as a prompt?
Yeah, what are you doing?
Use as your guidelines? And
this is a guy that's beyond reproach. I'm just telling you. Adam Bosworth,
if he's beyond
a genius.
reproach, then he might be doing something that's beyond the pale of normal usage as well.
That's
it could be, but that's why he's asking the question.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to ask the question, but John brings up a good point. It's just, what was the setup for this? Basically, I usually even for the people who are experienced, I don't jump in and fanboy their comment about how bad a tool is until I can really get a sense of what was tried, what was not tried. And even then, I think John raises an excellent point about, you could be experimenting with something that just really the average developer may not have set up for themselves for that. So it's kind of almost a feeding loop of, the tool doesn't work the way I expected, but is what you're expecting within the same realm of the standard developer. Even for somebody who's been established for a while, sometimes people go off a little bit about the tool a little too harshly. Sometimes I tend not to get into the tool wars as much as possible. I just try to look at what
I was just saying it because this guy he said it was a marvel. So it wasn't like he was killing it originally. He said it was a marvel up until 4 weeks ago. Anyway, you guys apparently haven't run into any of that. I was just curious if anybody's noticed a difference in how this thing is working.
Yeah,
because it feels like maybe human element is actually able to take down some of this stuff. Maybe bad coding can take down an AI LLM.
The one I would, if I could quickly suggest, the one to pay attention to is whether they decide to pull Claude Code from the $20 a month level, which I don't think they're going to do that. There's, I think our Technica had the article on this basically. But I just I don't see them pulling that. I do think it does speak to a larger issue about resources and having them available for the features. They brought a lot of features, people love them, but now they have to manage, to how much access people have. I have seen Claude make some adjustments for that.
What you will see is, because it's all about money, they might not take it away from the 20, but they might add a new layer, a new level that will cost $80 a month or 50 or whatever. That will then move some of those things up so that if you really want that, you're going to have to pay for it.
Yep.
Because it's all about the money.
Just like a Porsche 911.
Damn, is that what you driving there, Pierre?
That's, put it this way, that's what I'm aspiring to, but probably I'm losing hope given that it's now a completely six-figure car. So, and it wasn't supposed to be at one point in its lifetime, but that's where we are.
All right, well, that's where we're going to end it for this week. Any parting thoughts by anyone? Anybody want to add anything before we?
Can I give one quick one?
Sure.
A bit promotional. I am doing a free webinar on Thursday, midday, about 12 o'clock Eastern, for the Greater New York Chamber of Commerce. It's a follow-up. I did one for AI for Dummies last year for them. This one's kind of an AI for Dummies Part 2, but it's a little bit more about the latest features and a little bit more about workflow. So it's a good way of sitting in, learning some of the features, and getting some good suggestions on how you can kind of work with some of these tools within your business, basically.
Very cool. So, anybody else got a shout out? Something?
I might as well shout out. I'm doing one Thursday evening. If you can't make the daytime,
there you go.
Go to claudepowermove.com.
Very cool. I'll just say I was at ServiceNow's big user conference last week in Vegas. That's where I got sick, basically. But it's also the first conference, how do I say this, that I actually feel like now there's progress. We're not just talking about the same nonsense. They are, and this is enterprisey, so maybe there's something to that, but they talked about things that I've been wanting to hear around the AI and how to actually move forward beyond the puffery that has typically been talked about with AI. And it all comes down to workflow automation, governance, and some other things that is not a big highlight for a lot of the small biz community, but it's finally getting to some meat and potato stuff around this. We're going to see a difference in a year or so. And it's not just because one company's talking about, because I think we're all going to be talking about it eventually a year from now. So I actually feel a little bit better about AI now than I did even a couple of weeks ago. So with all that said, hope you have a great weekend. We will see you next Friday. Maybe they'll be done here. I don't know. We shall see. So have a great weekend and see you next week.